Alright, so in this video what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the concepts of extrapolation and interpolation. So in the last video we looked at a scenario where there was a girl growing a tomato plant, and from that she made a table of data. From that table of data we generalized a pattern, and from that pattern we created an expression, a linear expression, and then we created a linear equation. And then we use that equation to make predictions. This video is going to extend off that concept of making predictions. We're going to talk about two types of predictions. The first prediction we're going to talk about is what's called an extrapolation. Now what an extrapolation is when I make a prediction that falls outside the range of my data set. Okay, so for example, in our data set, we had data for the plant growing from 0 to 3 days. So right at the very beginning, on the 0th day, the plant was at a height of 3 centimeters. On the first day, it was at a height of 5. On the second, at a height of 7. On the third, at a height of 9. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my model to make a prediction for what the height of the plant is going to be on the 4th day. Okay. So to do that, just like we did in the last video, okay, well if I'm making a prediction for the 4th day, I need to substitute in a 4 here where the day's variable is. Now, and variable, that's just what these kind of placeholder letters are called. Okay, they're called variables because they vary, they change over time. I can change what day I look at over and over and over again. I can plug in the 4th day and get a height, or the 5th day and get a height. And every time I do that, for each new day I plug in, I'm going to get a new height. And so these two values here, H and D, are going to vary. Okay, so that's why they're called variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute in a 4 here for the variable D to make a prediction for the height of the plant on the 4th day. Okay, so if I do that, so my height is going to be equal to 3 plus 2 times 4 days. Okay, just like last time, we're going to go through our order of operations. 2 times 4 is 8, so I got H is equal to 3 plus 8. 3 plus 8 is 11. And so our model predicts that on the 4th day, our plant is going to have a height of 11 centimeters. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this prediction and I'm going to add it to our graph. Okay, so if I go over to the 4th day, I need to go up to a height of 11 centimeters and plot my point. Okay. Now, this is what we call an extrapolation. Notice that this prediction is outside my data set. It's not within this range right here. All right, so this prediction I made falls outside of my data set. And I could make many more if I plugged in these other days. Okay. So this, let me see here. This is what we call an extrapolation. Let me write it down here, actually, I'm going to run over. As an extrapolation. Okay. Now, and this may seem counterintuitive as to why you might do this, but in addition to making extrapolations, making predictions that are outside of our data set, we can also make predictions that are called interpolations. And interpolation is a prediction that is actually within the data set. So for example, if I wanted to, and we kind of talked about this a little bit in the last video, I could use my model to make a prediction for what the height of the plant was at half a day, or maybe 1.5 days, or maybe 2.25 days, right? And so even though I only have data points, right at each day mark, at the 0th day, and the 1st day, and the 2nd day, I can use my model to interpolate values that are within my data set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a prediction for what the height of the plant would have been after 1.5 days. Okay. All right, so to do that, let's see here. All right, so what that means is I'm gonna have to plug in 1.5 for my variable d, where my days go, to solve for what my height would be at that time. Okay, so my height is going to be equal to 3 plus 2 times 1.5 days. Okay. You follow your order operations. 2 times 1.5 is 3. So h is equal to 3 plus 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So my model predicts that after 1.5 days, my plant would have been 6 centimeters tall. So I'm going to go ahead now and plot that point. Let's see here, what would be a good color to use? Let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to go over to about 1.5 days, so about halfway between 1 and 2 on my horizontal axis, on my days axis. And then I'm going to go up to a value of 6. So if I go over 1.5 and up 6, I'll plot my pointer right there. Okay. Notice now this data, this prediction falls within my original data set. It's within this range here, 0 to 3. It's at 1.5, of course. Okay. And so we would call that an interpolation. So that is an interpolation. Okay, so again, an extrapolation is when you make a prediction that's outside of the data set, and interpolation is when you make a prediction that's within the data set.